Try to use a tripod as my selfie stick. Going down through a path right now. I love this area. This is my favorite spot to come out and just hang out. If I'm not good with this selfie stick thing, don't be surprised. This is my first time even using it. But as far as I know, this thing is supposed to work. But yeah, it has been raining horrible out here where I'm at. To give you an idea, this is the first nice day with sunshine we've had in about a week. And I'll tell you what, everything is wet or drenched or whatever. I mean, it's just not nice. But I think I'd like to show you guys how to make fire with wet materials. That's a perfect time for that. Biggest thing I've got to find is a patch of clean ground. And let me see if I can show you. That's about the best you're going to find for clean ground around here. And I'll tell you what, the biggest problem I've got is I've got tall grass everywhere. And grass fires, they're horrid. You think a forest fire can be bad, and they're horribly bad. But you get a prairie grass fire, they are dangerous as hell. They can actually travel at as fast as the wind is blowing. And that once they start going through, it's really, really hard to contain them or to stop them. They can jump interstates. Now, what I'm looking for, like I just showed you, is that empty patch of ground. I got a spot with no grass. It's got a bunch of wood and stuff, so I'm going to clean it up. Gotta love that beautiful soil. But this stuff should be perfect for making a fire. It shouldn't catch fire down there, even though it's got a brown look to it. That's just the decayed stuff in the dirt. Okay, now the first thing we've got to find is thin material. When you're trying to start a fire with super wet materials, okay, it's not about the what you're going to use to start the fire that's freaking you out the most. It's actually how to get a little fire from cedar bark or what have you, or birch bark, how to get that started when everything else is soaking wet. Well, the key to that is thin materials. The thinner the better. Fire works by cross section of the material. Efficient transfer of heat from a flame, from the small flame of whatever your fire starting material is, to the fine kindling that you're going to use. Now, the finer the cross section, the faster it dries out. Okay, it will be wet. You can do this with material that's almost soaking wet, to where you can almost twist the water out of it type stuff. But it should be wood, and it should be super, super, super fine material, and it should be dead. Let's go look for some. Concerning hair fine twigs, this is exactly the stuff I'm looking for. When I talk about having fine twigs for making fire, this is a fallen elm branch. And these fine twigs on this thing will be perfect for starting a wet fire. As far as tinder goes, don't turn your nose up at fine grass like this. This stuff, when you get up close and look, it's super fine, and that stuff burns hot. Other grasses work great as well. This superfine stuff works great for tinder. The rest of this stuff works great for kindling. These are cedar needles. These things work extremely good for kindling. The big problem you have with those is that they do have some moisture in them, but they also have a flammable sap which helps them light. Something else that works really good is the dry cedar needles. Those work even better than the green ones. Now, if you're wondering what happened to my glasses and why my broken nose is sticking out like a sore thumb and why I'm as ugly as I am, well, the ugly part I can't help you with. But this is the second time I've had to redo this video today because for some reason my mic decided to cut out earlier. If a tree branch has been dead too long like this one, the cambrium has all rotted underneath the bark. And literally what you're going to find when you open it up is stuff like this powder that's on my finger. That's just the cambrium, but it doesn't, or it's so dead and rotten that it's powder now. Our tinder today is going to be made out of cedar bark. This fine stuff right here, this is the cat's meow. Now this stuff that we're pulling off is off of the side of the tree that got the least wet during the rain. Look around, feel around, literally touch it to your face to deal. If it's moist, if it feels wet or cool, then you don't want to use it. Look for stuff that feels warm, that feels like your skin temperature. I'm going to collect a bunch of this, then we're going to go see about making us a fire. Okay, I want to show you this. You see that stuff in the center? This stuff that peels off like paper? That's the cambrium for elm bark. Let's see if that gets a good video of it. But that stuff is what burns well. But something you need is a good fire lay on wet soil. So what I'm doing is laying down this elm bark to make a dry layer between my fire and the ground. Initially, it's what you need to get a fire started. But the big problem is the ground. If you try to do it on moist ground, it will actually take heat away from the fire or from the emergent tinder, and it will keep your fire from lighting up. This is the fire lay. I put it as a layer between my fire and the cold ground so that the kindling on top of the tinder won't absorb moisture from the ground after I light the tinder. Now I'm going to be using this. It's a brand new ferro rod. I don't know how well this brand is going to work. I've never used it before, but we'll give it a try. A good ferro rod should throw sparks from from you standing all the way to the ground. Now, whether or not this is going to do that, I have my doubts because I didn't pay a fortune for this. I'm processing the material right now, the cedar bark. Getting it all worked up. See all that dirt coming off and dust? That's actually cedar bark. That stuff's extremely flammable. Need to get it up and through all this. Now, as you can see, I've got a big wad of that down there. I'm going to sit down. That's going to make this more easier for me because my knees are getting old. Pardon, but I am not a young pup anymore. In fact, I'm getting to be an old fart. Oh man, yeah, those are throwing all the way to the ground, as you can see. This is not a bad fire rod. Once I get a big sustained flame, I'll let it burn out, but it will start these smaller twigs. These smaller twigs will start up, so long as you keep going from fine to bigger, all the way up. It will actually keep burning just whatever you put on top of it. As long as it's flammable, that is. Ha ha. I say that because there are people that would make that assumption. Unfortunately. Here, I'll just throw a couple of deals, and just for good measure, I'll put that up on top because if that starts, that will burn almost anything. I say that. Oh. Aha! Success! And there you go. That is how you make fire with completely wet materials. Now, I will say, it is much easier to make a fire like this if you have some kind of a fire starter. I mean, if you're starting with natural kindling, it can be a royal pain. Any moisture you're going to be fighting, you've got to dry it out as much as possible. One thing that I like to do is carry around char, which isn't char cloth. Char cloth is great too, but char is just a little Altoids tin or whatever with crushed up charcoal. Fire rod, get a piece of that charcoal lit, then blow it to life. That makes things really simple for that type of a fire start. But this would be enough with bigger twigs on top and other bigger sticks around that, all the way up to big logs, forming a teepee around the whole thing. It would dry out the biggest logs you could possibly imagine, or the wettest logs you could possibly imagine.